If I could have you stay standing for just a moment so we can do a moment of silence for Lewiston. Thank you. I would like to make an agenda adjustment by moving agenda item number 7.3 to approve the 8th grade trip to Boston this spring to doing it now so these kiddos can go home.
Second.
All those in favor? Good. All right. So we are going to start with the 8th graders.
No pressure.
So at first,
Come to the mic a little bit closer. There you go.
our class voted on trip locations between Six Flags and Boston. Boston received the most votes from our students, so then we voted on what to do in Boston. Our top choices were the Blue Man Group, and our class's second choice was the New England Aquarium. We have 108 students in our class, and we are raising funds for everyone to go. In just 1 month, we have raised almost $5,000 on our Pie fundraiser and sponsor form. We have a cash calendar, Little Caesars, and Bottle Drive fundraisers already planned over the next few months. We are also looking into a T-Search fundraiser for 8th grade students to wear the day of the trip. We need to raise $13,000 for our trip admission costs and busing. We are looking into reserving 2 coach buses for our trip, and if we raise extra money, we will look into adding a third choice, maybe a duck boat tour, or put the extra money to raise towards our semi-formal dance on May 31st.
Our class, there we go. Our class of 108 students is planning to travel to Boston on Wednesday, June 5th on 2 coach buses with 12 chaperones, 6 teachers, and 6 parents. The Blue Man Group performance are not your just typical show. They're an experience featuring music, dance, lights, instrumentals, and sounds and movements that are both familiar and obscure. The long-running crowd pleaser is truly incomparable cultural phenomenon. The aquarium nearly has 10,000 incredible marine animals where students can explore the animal exhibits and touch tanks. Our class is so excited for this end of middle school celebration trip.
Anything else? No? All right. Any discussion? Anyone have any questions? Bob?
All right, so I heard you say you're trying to get all this 8th grade students to go. Okay, that's super. I object to those where only a handful can go because of cost. It's nice that you're trying to raise the money so that everybody can go. This is a 1-day down and back? Super. And I applaud your fundraising efforts and wish you the best of luck.
Anyone else? No? All right. Seeing as there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? All right. Congratulations. All right, so now we'll go to number 2, consideration of the minutes to approve the minutes of the October 25th, 2023 Board of Directors meeting.
So moved.
Can we hold on until the noise subsides? It'll be a minute. Don't take them long to get out.
Point of order. So I think we did a motion to move the agenda item
Yeah.
up, but we're not sure who did the motion and voting for the actual motion.
I did the motion to move the agenda item up.
For the agenda adjustment?
Right.
Yeah.
But the motion,
The motion to approve the class trip was
approve
never
it.
made?
correct.
All right, so then I would
Oh,
move
okay.
that we approve the 8th grade class trip as presented.
Sorry about that. Second? Anybody?
Second.
All right. All those in favor? Sorry.
That's okay.
I
Just
did.
wanna Make sure we're good.
I
Yeah.
just recognized that I did not say those words. All right.
Now carry on.
All right. So the consideration of minutes to approve the minutes of the October 25th, 2023 Board of Directors meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? Seeing as there is none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Thank you. All right. Public comment. At this time, we will allow any members of the public that are here on Zoom to add a comment. Please remember to refrain from using names or slander and Let us know who you are and where you are from. Anybody online, Angie? Okay. Yes. All right, we will move on. There are no petitions or communications and reports. 5.1, Superintendent's Oral Report.
So I have two things. Brian's going to do the first one because you have gotten a lot of communication with me over the last week and a half of even out with the community on what happened on our last meeting on October 25th. However, Brian, he doesn't have a report tonight, so there was a lot done for the football game, although it was a very painful loss in the last 25 seconds of the game. Our football players really played their hearts out, and it was a really great community event. So, Brian, will you come share things that were done and how much money was raised?
Good evening, everybody. So we kind of started out realizing after everything that happened on October 25th and how much it impacted our communities, we wanted to take a moment and just kind of, internalize what it meant to our community, our school, our district, and our kids. So knowing that at that point in time, only our football and cheerleading programs were still participating, I pulled them in during a Raider Connection one day and just asked them, this is your game, it's your day, what do you want to do? So kind of put it all on them. And of course, kids surprise us and they come up with great ideas. So if you didn't see the picture, we came up with a giant state of Maine for the center of the field. We put a heart over Lewiston. It was pretty unique. It took quite a bit of man hours. We had posters up. We had billboards, flyers. Everything was student driven. It was all their choice. All of the gate money from the game and as well as boosters donations is being donated to the victims of the families in Lewiston. We raised just over $2,800 on Saturday. So that was, pretty substantial, just for a Saturday football game, but showing our kids what we can do, what we can help to support our community members. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. A lot of hard work went into that, so thank you, everyone involved. Also, our SRO, Megan Brown, sent in her October notes, so I'll just highlight that in September there were 23 activity logged, and in October there were 19. And then her note said this month was she continued with the Alice training, finishing up at Carrie Ricker and Libby Tozier. She noted that there was a lot of great discussion from staff and questions regarding critical incidents. At Carrie Ricker, they're able to utilize an upstairs downstairs scenarios. She also attended the Fire Prevention Day at Sabatis Fire Department at SBS and got to interact with the first and second graders. She attended a fire drill at the high school. She also spent time in the LEAP program at SBS. She played a game of hot potato, which they seem to enjoy. She has assisted in lunchroom duty at the middle school and hallway duty. And she continues to talk to administrators about bus safety and also putting a form in place for bus drivers when vehicles run their red lights, and to help streamline enforcing a court action on an offense of that. So she's been busy, and obviously she did, we thanked her for her participation and really stepping up to help with the event of October 25th. She was on call that whole time, and so we thanked our departments for being involved in that.
Assistant Superintendent Report.
In terms of curriculum assessment and instruction, a lot of my events due to the October 25th incident got canceled. So some of the work that we had for social studies and some of the other curriculum things we had to be on pause so that our students and staff could continue to be together. We have finally gotten our spring data that will be going home with parents. So they'll get, during parent-teacher conferences, can see their fall data as well as their spring data. In lieu of not doing curriculum, I've been doing a lot of grant writing for food service. So as I reported last time, we ended up getting a $4,900 salad cart from South Portland, and we won today a $31,000 grant to replace the kettle that at Libby Tozier. So When we did, at the beginning of the year, we looked at equipment, thanks to work with John. They looked at and saw there was a safety feature under our kettle that made it inoperable. So we wrote a grant to get an emergency replacement, and so we will be able to replace the entire kettle at Libby Tozier. In work with Michaela Stevens, we also did a $6,000 grant for McKinney Vento that will help reduce some of that transition for in the winter with heating oil, as well as reduce some of our transition from other districts, so like transportation cost. So we've had a lot of other grants that have come in today.
Could you just explain what a kettle is?
It's a very big machine. When we finally get it in, we'll take a picture. But that's how we make our potatoes. We steam our vegetables. It's a very, very large piece of equipment that we can do a lot of various things. That we've been adjusting our menus at Libby Tozier because we have not had our kettle. So it'd be nice to kind of put some other healthy options on our menu with the use of this new kettle. So.
Thank you. We'll move down to administrator's report, and because I like to shake things up, we have Jenny and Amy first.
You'll notice a pattern that we'll just keep moving everyone forward one.
Caught us off guard. All right. Good evening, everyone. So it's been a busy month at Oak Hill Middle School. The Unified Arts classes have celebrated the end of their first 7-week rotation with the Golden Glove Awards, and recently they started their 7-week rotation. The awards are given to the students in each UA class who have put in the hard work over the 7-week period. They've also shown great manners by being kind, respectful, responsible, and safe, which is exactly what we value at Oak Hill Middle School. A shout out to our new health teacher, Jonah Sauter, who you can see pictured up in the right here, who was recently selected as an Outstanding Future Professional recipient at the MAPHERD conference this year. The MAPHERD stands for Maine's Professional Organization for Health and Physical Educators, Recreation, and Dance Professionals. Congratulations, Jonah. One of our PD days in October was hosted by our very own Jeff Ireland, who is currently on loan to the Department of Education, and his colleague Nicole, who came to work with staff on how to effectively implement artificial intelligence in lesson planning. Staff appreciated the new learning and have already put into use the learning in the classroom. Next slide. Fifth graders are busy writing and editing stories, debating current events in their English and language arts classes. In science, students are studying matter, solids, liquids, and gases. In math, students are working on order of operations, while in social studies, they're working on presidential campaigning. Sixth grade students are finishing up their studies on physical and chemical change, along with chemical reactions in science. In social studies, they're diving deeper into ancient Egypt studies, and in math, students are starting to work on ratios. In ELA, students are continuing to work on theme and finishing up book reports that they've started.
In seventh grade, students are learning about plant and animal cells in science and scale drawings in math. In social studies, they are working on map skills and just finished their Make Your Own Globe project, which you can see on the right. In English language arts, they are working on central ideas and author's purpose and polishing up their 5-paragraph essays. Eighth grade English language arts are working on personal narratives and identifying parts of a story. Math students have been learning about transformations and congruence. Social studies have been looking at the geography, history, and current events in the Middle East. While science has been finishing up their Earth, Sun, Moon system projects, one group of students even automated their Earth, Sun, Moon system, which you can see in the middle. Can we play that? They even came in with battery-operated Earth, Sun, Moon. Pretty cool. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Michaela, SPS.
With the order, it's not going to flow. With the button. With the button. All right.
Good evening, everyone. At Sabattis Primary School, I just want to give a huge shout out to Sabattis Fire Department for our lesson on fire prevention, and Fire Chief Rob Gayton for setting it up, and just giving us some really great experiences for our students. They did a session with our first graders and our second graders. We even had firefighter Tyler. He dressed up in all his gear and went around and gave high fives to all the kids so that they would know what it would look like and not to be scared, and to just realize that friendly, even though he may sound different with the oxygen and everything, just to know that they're there to help. They all left with little firefighter hats, so it was a very special day. They got to walk around the fire truck and just really get some hands-on experience. So thank you, the Sabattis Fire Department, for that. I also just want to do some SPS highlights with just some of our PBIS and then our Math for Me. So over on the left, I was talking to you about those little tubes that we had, and I didn't get a picture last time to show you. And they were about half full last time I presented, and as you can see right now, they're overflowing. So both first and second grade have won their first reward as a class, so they'll decide something special that they'd want to do for class, maybe a pajama day, or any other activities that they can come up with, maybe some extra time outside at recess together, but a special event where they're all going to be together, getting just rewarded and celebrating their great behavior. And there's already a lot more tickets ready to be refilled after those are emptied. In the middle picture right there is the Math for Me interactive board. So that little green bucket was filled with little tabs, and as students were walking by to go to lunch or anything like that, they got to interact with Would You Rather, and it's a math question. So it's 2 different sets of brownies, different sizes, and different amounts, and they get to pick which one would they rather, and then use some mathematical language to describe why they would prefer one or the other. So it's just that inclusion for math for all learners, and so that every single student can participate. And over on the right, we had our monthly Sammy Superstar lunching. We had so much fun. I didn't get pictures of us all together. We played some walking duck, duck, goose, some rock, paper, scissors competitions, tic-tac-toe, and got to listen to some music and eat our food and really just spend some fun time together. So that was a really special award, and they had friends coming up to them congratulating them. Just some really special moments that our kids get to enjoy monthly, daily, and then randomly when those buckets are filled. Lastly, I'm going to end with we are remote day ready, and I want to say a big thank you to Tech. Today they came over and got us all set up for our Zoom, and we are making sure it's accessible to everyone where they are. As we know, so many different things can happen with Wi-Fi, so we can ensure that parents are getting it on their phone or the iPad, pushing out through Seesaw. So it's just going to be accessible to all learners, and staff's ready, we're ready, and prepared. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you, Michaela.
Thank you.
Dustin and Sherry from Libby Tozier, Carrie Ricker.
All right. Good evening. Dustin Miles, Principal of Libby Tozier and Carrie Ricker Schools. Tonight I would like to highlight the amazing staff and students at Libby Tozier and what we have been working on over the past few weeks. On the first slide, you can see our pizza and literacy night that took place last evening. This event was attended by over 100 community members, and the majority of our staff attended as volunteers. This event was the vision of our literacy coach, Becky D'Alessandro, who created a space where parents learned about working on oral language with their child and how we can support our students in various ways through not only reading but also how we speak to one another. For the first half of the event, students were with their classroom teachers creating construction paper pizzas, while the parents remained in the cafeteria with Ms. D'Alessandro, learning about oral language development at the pre-K and K levels. Parents developed a couple of strategies and then had the students come back into the cafeteria to practice these strategies with their own kids So an example of this would be a parent actually brought it up during the night was a child might say her is in my class, and our natural inclination is to say that is incorrect and correct them. Instead, we can say, when the child says her is in my class, the parent could say, oh really, she is in your class? This way we are encouraging our students to continue having those conversations and modifying what they are saying without having to say that they're incorrect. This entire evening, of course, was centered around pizza and modeling dinner conversations. Students and parents enjoyed the evening and not only took home a free book, but also new strategies to use for future conversations at home. We also shared with our parents the volunteer packets that are up there. That we have as a district, and hopefully create a more robust pool of parents and guardians who would like to help out at Libby Tozier. Our staff and leadership team have been developing ways parents can help out when volunteering. This includes everything from recess monitor to help with cutting out art and craft materials. We very much appreciate the support, and we look forward to creating stronger bonds with our community through this volunteer work moving forward. Finally, on the lower right, I promised the kids I would share this newest discovery at recess, our pet worm. His name is Gummy. Get it? Okay. And he seems way too big to be a worm myself. While I keep my distance from him at recess, the other kids have been enjoying exploring his routines. I did not check on him today, but he's had a glorious 2 days at Libby Tozier as our school pet. And Cherie's going to do Carrie Ricker.
Nobody's jumped in that mud puddle?
Oh, they have.
It's probably ice now. Hi, I'm Cherie Poole. I'm assistant principal at Libby Tozier and Carrie Ricker Elementary School. Good evening. For Carrie Ricker, we are looking at two different things. I want to back up just one. One thing that I want to look at are the Carrie Ricker assemblies. So what is the purpose of student assemblies? Assemblies create unity with other students. It's important at any age to feel like a valued member of the community. Assemblies are a simple way to make students feel included while also informing them, motivating them, and teaching them positive values. Effective school assemblies are important for nurturing a positive school culture. A few key elements of our assemblies include meaningful themes. Staff chooses meaningful themes that resonate with students' interests and experiences. Themes also incorporate our school's values of being safe, respectful, responsible, kind, and caring, which is part of our PBIS mission this year. Another element is being interactive. Group activities are incorporated to make the experience more immersive, memorable, and keep students engaged. Our assemblies are timely and consistent. Assemblies are typically held at the end of the day on the last Friday of each month, and you all are invited. If you want to come see an assembly, come on over. The last Friday of the month is at the very end of the day. And another element of our assemblies is student involvement. Students are chosen to wear owl costumes and participate in handing out awards and activities, as well as can nominate staff for awards. And some things that happened at this assembly in October, where we had the Olsum Owls teacher nominations. There was a sing-along at every assembly. There's a birthday recognition, and all of this promotes positive climate and culture. Something very exciting happening at Carrie Ricker is our coaches have opened up learning labs for the teachers. So what this means is collective learning, investigating, collaboration, data analysis, decision making, because all of our teachers, all of us are forever learners. So here are some different things happening in the literacy lab with Karen Matthews. Different things that they're working on with teachers is to know their students. Who are they? Where are they now? What do they need in order to know where they should begin? Something else they're working on is how to set high, worthwhile goals that are appropriate for those students at this time in the setting that they're in. How to implement instruction designed to attain those goals, and how to evaluate students' learning in the light of the goals and the instruction. How to reflect on student learning, the effectiveness of the instructional design, particular concerns and issues, and then how to set new high and worthwhile goals that are appropriate for these students at this time. And one of the pictures highlights on the right where students may have missed some very pivotal instruction and opportunities for both third and fourth grade. And that's part of being able to know where your students are now and how to address their needs. The picture on the left highlights the workshop model that teachers are learning, and also there are tables set up and teachers are able to use one of their planning periods to go in and look at something very particular they want to learn, and they have a opportunity to work on a coach for something that's very particular to their class. So these are things that are happening at Carrie Ricker. Any questions?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Next up will be Marco and Sue from the high school.
Good evening, everybody. Right. Thank you for a few moments of your time to share the most recent happenings at Oak Hill High School. First, I would like to focus on student life. That's not. Yep. But it
Wrong way.
doesn't go all the way around. No, almost there. There it is again. That's pretty exciting. There we are. We made it. First, I'd like to focus on student life. Students have been taking full advantage of experience offered at Oak Hill, and I'm just going to highlight a few of them because there are many. I'd like to recognize alumni and a current Army recruiter, Nathan Bolton, who's been providing meaningful opportunities, including visits to classes and lunches to speak with students about the Army. He's also worked with our physical education department to provide an inflatable obstacle course, which you can see in the upper left-hand corner. And it's been wonderful to have Nate return to Oak Hill, as he's had a positive impact on his former school community, so it's been great. On the bottom left, students in Mr. Young's English classes have been working with the nonprofit organization The Telling Room to enhance their writing skills. You may remember last year the collaboration produced a book that students wrote under the tutelage of The Telling Room. The experience also came with a book reading attended by central office staff. I look forward to the product produced this year. I am not aware necessarily what is happening in there. Destiny, are you in that class? Okay, so don't tell me, all right? All right, sounds good. And then in the upper right-hand corner, our Socktober annual drive to collect socks for New Beginnings in Lewiston concluded on the 31st. The goal set by student Aspen Gothier and teacher Ed Zewis was 250 pairs of socks. We met and exceeded the goal, and will donate the socks to them at our next Student of the Month assembly. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, I watched the Oak Hill High School drama production of the musical Legally Blonde this past weekend, which I thoroughly enjoyed. The efforts by our students, including Destiny, and drama advisors Lucy Ryu and Dave Marr. It was nice to see a high school age production this year, as the last few years were geared towards younger students. Last year, I think I brought my daughter to see Beauty and the Beast, correct? Yeah. Which was wonderful, yes. Yes, it was wonderful. But it was nice to see a high school production. It was a lot of fun and hilarious. So a huge thank you to all of those who helped it be successful. All right, next up, I'm just going to highlight the bar program at the high school. That's Building Assets, Reducing Risks. This is something that's also being done at the middle school this year. We had our first coaching visit, and our coaches come to check the fidelity of the program. Our coach, Linda Ewing, visited on Monday to review our bar systems that are currently in place. We are in our 6th year of bar and have had great results since our adoption of the program. Linda will provide us with a report from her findings, which I'll share with you. She did let me know how impressed she was with the teamwork and efficiency of our meetings, which are leading to positive outcomes for our students. And so on the left-hand side is a graphic in regards to the teachers and administrators and school counselors that are involved in each team. We have 2 teams for each grade level, 9th and 10th. And then on the right-hand side is the implementation fidelity check. And you can see the growth over time there. This was something that was put together last year from our former bar coach. You could see the year 1 visit at the top, year 2, or is that 3? 3, thank you very much. And then year 5 visit. So definitely some considerable growth for us at the high school with bar. And lastly, I'll turn it over to Sue to talk about PBIS. I think it's really.
Good evening. I'm Sue Rennie from the high school. We've been talking about PBIS for years, months. The high school is in a different place than most of the elementary schools. I just wanted to provide a really short video that really explains why. It's 2.5 minutes, and I'll take questions at the end. So that's a very wide, broad, gives you an idea of all of the areas. Yeah. Yep. As I said, PBIS incorporates all parts of the school day, your classroom, your hallways, cafeteria, the bus, assemblies. We, as a school, we invoke our students on our committee. Today was our first student-attended PBIS meeting, and we also had a parent who is joining us. And so we can get all the perspectives that we can as we're building our PBIS, so that we get students involved, and they all tell us a different perspective, I think, than what we expect sometimes. It's nice they have a voice. Any questions?
Robbie?
I know with the older student, sorry. I know with the older students, I mean, a lot of stuff must come in from outside with social media, what goes on after school. and stuff like that. I mean, so some of the stuff you might not see until it really starts occurring in the school. So I guess my question would be how many times or how often do you find that it's happened outside of the building and come into our environment?
I can speak from my point of view is it's a lot of social media.
Yeah.
Things on phones that upset students, and when they come through the doors, they're not ready to learn. I don't know if I wanted to give you a percentage, but
Yeah.
they all have phones just about,
Sure.
and the information goes as quick as it possibly can, sharing. It's social media is a big chunk of the discipline that we have to work with at school.
I would just assume that it's not the norm it was 15, 20 years ago, where, you know, somebody would get in a pushing match at the bus stop or something going on in the parking lot or something like that. So, you have to deal with all that, and that takes time away from doing the stuff that you should be doing.
Right. PBIS will help us track and collect the data, so we'll find out where the issues are, and if we haven't addressed it, the committee sits down again with the students and the parent and gets their point of view and gets their input on how, using data, you use the data and you can see where the problems are. And PBIS is, again, constantly changing in your school as needed. Like 15 years ago, we didn't have to worry about social media as much. And, for the high school, for example, we will probably build some PBIS for the parking lot where, elementary schools and students aren't driving there, where we have to have something. So it's very individual, and it's constantly being checked and rechecked and changed up as needed.
Great. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you. Okay, we'll move down to our student rep report. Destiny?
All right, let me get my notes out. Okay, so first up for in OHLA, Oak Hill Legislative Assembly, and Future Business Leaders of America, every year we collaborate and we do our holiday baskets and our toy drive planning. So that's starting very soon, and we're already starting to wrap the boxes to put into classrooms where students can bring in non-perishable items that we'll donate to people in need in our community. And December 9th, we'll have our Breakfast with Santa event and our toy drive, which will allow kids in the community to come in and spend time with Santa Claus, and we'll have breakfast like pancakes and sausage, I believe. And at the same time, we'll have the toy drive, which I believe will be in the Mixers parking lot, so people can come in and bring in new toys. We're not taking any old toys just because for sanitary reasons. But yeah. And then we also have, with the musical ending recently, that was a really amazing experience. It went by super fast. We have a lot of seniors graduating this year, so that is a big loss to our drama department, but we all had a blast, and it was a great time. With the ending of the musical, we are starting up our winter play, which is a Shakespearean comedy known as The Merry Wives of Windsor. From what I've read about it, it's hilarious, and I'm super excited. We held our auditions today, and we're holding another session of auditions tomorrow. And the show will be January 19th, 20th, and the 21st. Tomorrow, we leave for our Rhode Island trip, and we will come back Saturday. Tomorrow, we're going to do a tour at Bentley College. They're going to pay for our lunch and give us tours. We have about, I think, 20 to 30 students going on this from our school, and we also have students from Mount Blue and Monmouth attending with us, so that's great. And then after the tour, we're going to go to Level 99 in Massachusetts, do some escape rooms, and then we'll head to the conference, and they'll have some like introductory social events for us. Friday, we'll have a Dave & Buster's event, some workshops, some presentations from business leaders and entrepreneurs, which will be a really amazing experience, some more networking. And then Saturday, we'll head back. I believe we're stopping somewhere possibly on Saturday, but I'm not exactly sure. But I know we'll be back by like 5:30 p.m.
after we do like our closing events. And then next week we're holding our FBLA installation ceremony for our FBLA officers. And we usually do this like with a dessert banquet, and parents are invited to come and watch all of the FBLA students get inducted into FBLA. So yeah, that's what's been going on so far. Any questions?
Thank you, Destiny. All right, we'll move on to new business. 6.1, to approve the second reading of the following policies. JFAA, admission of resident and non-resident students.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Bob?
Yeah, I still want to re-register my my disagreement with the policy on how it treats a student who may be living with a grandparent or an aunt or an uncle, or somebody that's taking care of them who is not a court-appointed guardian. Basically, it says if that's not the case, then you're removed from school in the policy. So if you're not with a legal parent or guardian, then you're not considered a resident student. And I don't think that conforms to what the practice has been and what we see out in the community as far as where many of our students may be living and the conditions they're living in. So I just want to register again my complaint on the policy from that perspective.
Any other discussion? Seeing as there's none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? All those not in favor? Thank you. JFAB, admission of non-resident students.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing as there's none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? All those not in favor? Thank you. EGAD, copyright compliance.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Robbie?
I guess my question would be to Katie, is that the copyright compliance piece with the new AI, how sure are we that we're getting this information right?
You mean that it's not?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Norma Jean talked about what we're putting in place. Do you want to speak to that, or you want? Did you talk about it, Kathy, in your committee?
Yeah, that there's actually no policies right now that they recommend.
Or AI,
Right.
that AI actually fits under many of the policies. So we worked with MSSA and are ensuring. AI is developing and changing so rapidly.
Yeah.
They are not recommending that they have a separate policy for AI, that it's embedded in all of those pieces. Everything we're doing right now is up to date for current practices.
Because I know just working with it, I mean, you could wordsmith it, but it would just about write it for you, and then you would wordsmith it. Would that fall underneath our copyright rule?
Well, copyright is different than the plagiarizing
Right.
piece that is followed under the student handbook. So this is really taking copyrighted work.
Okay.
I think what you're going into is more plagiarism,
Right,
and we
yeah,
handle that
okay.
through the student handbook.
All right, thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing as there's none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? All those not in favor? EGAD-R, copyright compliance administrative procedure.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing as there's none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Thank you. IJNDB, student computer and internet use.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. JICIA, weapons, violence, and school safety.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing as there's none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? All those not in favor? Thank you. We'll move down to new business, 7.1. To approve that the computation and declaration of votes dated and attached here to be, and it is hereby approved, and further that the computation and declaration of votes be entered upon the records of Regional School Unit Number 4, the Regional School Unit, and further that a certified copy of the computation and declaration of votes be sent to each of the municipal clerks with the Regional School Unit.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? No? Seeing as there's none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Thank you. Make sure you stay to sign.
This is
Okay. 7.2, to approve a student day waiver letter to be submitted to the Department of Education for October 26th and October 27th. This will reduce the number of student days from 173 to 175, to 173.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Robbie?
Katie, have we heard anything else other school districts putting in for that time?
Yeah, yes, some are doing it like we're doing it tonight. We were at our regional meeting today, and a couple are doing it next week. Then there's some that are waiting to see how many snow days they have. So we're recommending that we ask for the waiver, and then people know those aren't going to count, that we don't have to make them up. And we also, so you know, we did pay employees for those 2 days because employees were very worried about pay. So we did move forward with that. So what I have to do is fill out, there's a form that has to be filled out, and then a letter has to be uploaded into that Jill signs. And then the commissioner will waive the calendar days, recognizing that it was an emergency, that schools had to be closed.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing as there's none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Thank you. Yep. We'll move on to 8 committee reports, Finance and Facilities Committee.
Okay, well, Finance and Facilities Committee met at 5:30, and I'll go over the financials first. On the revenue side, year to date, we've received $6,855,678.27, which is 31.78% of the expected revenue. On the expense side, year to date, we've expended $5,844,613.09, plus encumbrances, which is 28.2% of our budget. And it should be noted that certain expenditures, such as debt service, are not equally expanded during the course of the financial year. Adult education year to date, we've received $30,592.90, which is 25.68% of the adult ed anticipated revenue. And year to date, we've expended $35,419.16, which is 29.73% of the adult ed budget. Expenditures are on track in most lines for adult ed. School nutrition year to date, we've received $667.81, which is 19.94% of the school nutrition anticipated revenue. State subsidies have started to roll in more steadily, but as always, a month behind. We have not yet received any FFV and P proceeds as this grant began this month. Year to date, we've expended $221,953, which is 55.99% of the school nutrition budget. Some equipment purchases may be necessary in the near future. Expenditures are on track in most lines for the school budget. And Kathy reported out of the grant money that we're getting to cover some stuff in the school nutrition program, which is great. Going on to the minutes, consideration of minutes for October 25th were accepted, and we decided that we were going to post both the teaching jobs, the science at the high school and the fourth grade at the primary school. And there's been a maintenance and facilities freeze because of the reduction in the budget of over 200,000 there, and the SRRF funds applications were sent out. In old business, the charge for the building consolidation plan, the facilities committee wordsmith the paper that is going to be going out tomorrow for a subcommittee for a request for members of a subcommittee that is going to look at the buildings and which building we're going to close, either Sabatis Primary or Libby Tozier, and we'll be getting more on that. We hope to be bringing applicants, Katie, to you next meeting.
Yeah, so they'll be put out on our website and Facebook page and then sent out to the towns. So what we said is the Finance Facilities Committee will be the representatives for the board, and then a select person from each town, and then 6 citizens that represent a cross-section of the 3 communities. And so this form, there's a deadline for it on December 6th, I believe I said. And then we have the Finance Committee meeting that will look at that to make sure that we have a cross-section. And then they'll be invited to the first meeting, which is January 10th. So more information will be out tomorrow on our website.
Any questions?
Thank you, Robin.
Yep, thank you.
Personnel and Policy Committee.
All right, we met tonight, Brandon and I and Kathy, and we had a student, Lily Ames, who came, and we did an interview, and she is now going to be another student rep on the school board. So welcome to Lily. And I had her as a student in the past. We looked at 4 policies tonight, one of them that came back after the first reading, and it was recommended that they just update the language on the current policy and add bath salts part, so it will come back your way. That was JICH. We looked at policy JHB, which is truancy, and the recommendation was made that we use the Drummond and Woodson policy, and because it hasn't been updated since 2013, and since then we've had 2 changes to the law. We also looked at policy JKAA, which is on use of physical restraint and seclusion. And some changes were made in the policy that needed to be updated to match the Drummond and Woodson policy. So that one will be coming your way as well. And one more we looked at was JKAAR, procedures on physical restraint and seclusion. And that policy is also being updated to match Drummond and Woodson's policy as well. So the next time we will look at agenda format for school board meetings.
Anyone else? All right. We'll move down to number 9, board member comments.
Yeah, I'd like to say congratulations to Miss Russell on winning the job for school board. And I'll have more to say at my last meeting in November.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I do.
Bob?
Yeah, I just wanted to report briefly on the school board conference I went to. It was a little bit abbreviated because of what happened the night before it was to start for us. Superintendents had a full day on Wednesday, and I understand from our keynote speaker that he spent 5 hours or so with them discussing artificial intelligence and the pace that it's moving. Something like printing was the biggest invention of mankind until recently, and it moved society ahead. and now this is replacing it, except it's doing it at lightning speed. And he did a lot of talking about how AI can be used constructively, and in the school system, how it can benefit our teachers by helping them to write lesson plans designed around a specific item or general item. All depends on how well they can write the prompt. You know, you can get a lesson plan back in a minute and a half or less. And then it's up to the teacher to look at it and make sure that what's in there, it conforms with what they want to go and teach. But instead of starting from scratch, AI will go out and do it and give it to you. And he showed some examples of prompts that he wrote that would have taken hours or days maybe to do the research to write. And he got it back in a couple of minutes. So it was very interesting. I think it's a wonderful tool. He gave an example of a law firm that started using AI, and they had a staff of like 50 law clerks. They now have 5 because everything a law clerk does, AI can do. And the 5 they kept are great editors. So they kept ones that could go and read what AI brought back with them and take out any of the stuff that is not correct and then to go and edit it. And so the real skill set is to be able to edit what AI brings out. And in order to be a good editor, you have to be a good writer. You don't have to be a good editor to be a good writer. And then he gave us a whole list of different jobs that are already being replaced with the AI. And I was heart-stricken when I saw bookkeeping and accounting, but there's already applications out there that will do that for you with AI. So we at this board level, as we set policies and we direct the educational challenges and opportunities that we provide to our students in the future, we have to remember, as they did 50 years ago, you didn't have to teach them how to, to hitch up a 14 to a wagon, had to teach them how to drive a car. So now we have to teach them how to use AI appropriately. And I had an economics professor when I was going to college in the 90s. I went to college late, right, after my military career, who went and said, you need to teach the students what information to put into the black box and how to interpret what comes out of the black box. All that stuff that you manipulate in the middle, the machine does that. We're not going to teach you how to do that or what even it does. You have to identify the right information and then be able to interpret the results. And I think AI is going to move us down, and it's going to be a challenge because it's going to be something that we are not familiar with. My generation, the generation after me, and the generation after them don't have a clue. The kids we have in school now have never known a time when they didn't have a smartphone and when they couldn't get their answers to all their stuff there. They grew up with it. And to try and teach them to do it a different way, instead of using the tools that they have and familiar with, we're just beating our heads and the students' heads against the wall. So we have to teach them the right way to go and use the tools. I intended one that was work ready versus college ready. We really have to look at preparing our students to be work ready, which could also mean college ready, but they gave the stats on the number of students that actually finish college in 4 years or 5 years, and it's almost single digits. So, and they come out with all this debt. So when we prepare them for college, unless they are dedicated to go and do it, they have a very poor chance of finishing it, and they're going to be out in the workforce. So they have to be able to know how to work. And if they can get through college, that's great because they'll have another skill set. But I found that the seminars that I went to were very informative and interesting. It's too bad that the others couldn't make it that had been scheduled, but I can understand why. So put it on your calendar for next year. It's well worth it, the time that you put in out there for what you can learn and the networking that you can do with some of our vendors and other school board members. So look forward next year, and I want to say one other thing, is because who knows what the future holds. And I know, Robbie, you have another meeting, I guess, before you switch out. But I'd like to thank you for your service to the board. I am concerned that we will no longer have anybody on the board that is familiar with construction and all of the systems that we have in our schools, because Robbie has saved us a lot of money when projects came up because he could look at it from its trades background. So I'm going to miss that at the facilities meetings because I always relied on you, as did others, to answer questions about what type of controls we had in the buildings, because you're familiar with them all. I know Jonathan has sought them out a number of times on those issues. So I thank you for the time and service that you've been on the board. I appreciate, and I know that you've made positive contributions to the education of our students. So thank you for your service, and we welcome a new face, and we're always changing. So, thank you.
So people don't know, Robbie has served on the board for 24 years. So that's pretty amazing. Your dedication to the students and families of RSU4, very commendable, Robbie.
Anyone else?
So I was hoping to use this time for like a little clarification on a couple of things that got brought up. I still don't know that we have the number of students that have missed school because of busing issues, because that's been the thing that's been brought up the most to people that we're talking. Because I know a lot of people are affected by that, and getting that number, and also if we could add updates to the busing situation to the minutes, so we're kind of going over it at each meeting. Because I know that we got it in an email about the updates, but not everybody has access to that, obviously. But I think it would be kind of putting people at ease, knowing that we're doing as much as we possibly could to fix that situation, and understanding that a lot of other people are in that situation too. Also giving some parents a chance that maybe are in a little bit different situation to help out some of those kids. We have been at our house very seldomly affected by it because we have in-laws that live very close that are able to kind of help with that, so work's not an issue, but I know a lot of families don't have that, so getting that out there, giving people a chance to help out. And the last point was, I was pretty sure at the last budget we added the 4th grade teacher back in, and I didn't see a posting for that job anywhere.
Yeah, because we just approved it last night, the budget. So
Okay,
I didn't, right. It will be posted tomorrow.
That was my only question.
Yeah,
about it,
I
so.
wasn't going to post until the budget cleared.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. That was
It will happen tomorrow.
As far as your busing, some of the issues are personnel, so some of those things can't be put out to the public.
So I guess I was more looking for not necessarily the person, but what we're looking at as far as how we're going about doing it, as far as instruction or what we're getting for information, just so everybody knows.
I
So
just
it's
wanna
not.
make sure.
I didn't want it to look like a background thing that, if you're not affected, nobody cares. But knowing that everyone here is trying to make sure that that's taken care of.
And that's why in the newsletter that I put out through Swift and everything had all the latest bus information. So I've been trying to do that. But yes, I can add that to regularly for the superintendent's report. And no, I have not received the bus information on how many students have missed. So I will get that.
I've kind of just been noticing a trend I just kind of wanted to bring to attention and kind of get some information about, is that in the past 2 months, I've noticed that we've had 3 EdTech 3s either resign or retire, and it's just been kind of not really mentioned. Are these positions that are going to get posted? Are these positions, is there a major concern? EdTech 3 is the highest level of EdTech, if I remember correctly, for special ed. Are we doing okay with these people? It looks like 2 of them were Kerry Ricker, 1 was Oak Hill Middle School. I just want to make sure that these are getting filled and that we're not at some sort of loss. We can still function.
Yes.
I-
So yes, they will be hired. The positions are posted, and we talked today, as a matter of fact, of putting out slides. Like we've been pushing heavy on the bus drivers. Now we need to be pushing heavy on the ed techs. So we did talk about that today, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I especially with the resignations. I mean, that's not retirement. Resignation is they can still work longer. They're opting to leave, right?
Right.
That's
They have
usually
other
how-
opportunities.
Other
yes.
opportunities.
Mhm.
So I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
things could be impacting that,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
Losing ed techs is.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, our next regular board meeting is December 13th. Without any objection, I will go ahead